we're being recorded. We'll go ahead and do some welcome to introduction. So if you guys are just logging on, this is the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan, the Park and Recreation Sector meeting. So each month we try and do some different topics related to the park and recreation world, and we always invite outside folks to come in and join us, whether it's just a one time or if they want to keep on coming back and getting all the good stuff. So my name's Allison Smith. I'm with the Johnson County Park and Recreation District. I'm the Corporate Community Wellness Coordinator. And I am one of the co-chairs for this group. And I'm going to, let's go ahead and popcorn around, do some quick introductions. I will popcorn to Katie with Children's Mercy.
Hi, so Katie Amy, and I'm the project coordinator for the Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative here at Children's Mercy. I help support a variety, just a few of our different initiatives, one being the KCPA plan, and I help support this sector group of one of our projects. Just making that as brief as possible. And I will go ahead and pass it over to Jill.
I'm Jill Monroe. I'm the wellness manager for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. We work with our Parks and Rec department pretty closely, not only for our employee wellness, but also to make sure that we have everything we need for our citizens.
Let's popcorn over to Katie Renner.
Hi. I'm not on mute, right? I'm not.
Nope,
Carrie just laughed at me because I said hi. I'm Katie Ritter. I work right across the hall from Allison Smith. So if you hear us talking back and forth, that's why. I work for Johnson County Park and Rec, but I am joining today on behalf of our youth triathlon team, Try 913. And I will popcorn to Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh Wolf, and I help with Try 913, coach there, and coach the kids triathlon camp. And I'm also a coach by profession, so I coach athletes of all levels, from people that are just getting started in triathlon all the way up to people that want to go to world championships and those types of things. So thanks for having me on the call today.
Popcorn to Shaya.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll just jump in. I'm the last one. So I'm Shaya Lockett. I am the recreation manager for the Unified Government's Wyandotte County KCK Parks and Recreation.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for hopping on today. We're happy to have you. Do we have any quick announcements for the group, Katie, or are you cool with us getting right into the Try 913 presentation?
We can do the Try presentation, and then after just do some brief updates.
Cool. Awesome. So, and as a reminder, I know this is being recorded. We've got a lot of folks who are interested in this. So if you guys have questions throughout, please feel free to come off mute and ask, or if you want to pop in the group chat, that's totally fine. It's whatever works best for you. And again, if you don't have any questions now, but you do later, I know Katie is also not Katie Children's Mercy, Katie Renner, the other Katie in my life, my next door neighbor, Katie. She is available. We'll have her email address in the chat as well, so that way you guys can reach out to her directly if you have any other questions about the team or anything else about how to get involved or sponsor any of that. So without further ado, I'm going to mute myself, and Katie and Josh, I'm going to let you guys tell us about your program.
Allison, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I think you need to reword that as the best Katie in your life. Sorry, Katie. I share an office with another girl, and she's dying over here, just laughing. So just to kind of give you a high-level overview of what Try 913 is. So Josh and I have been working together for, is this our 8th year?
Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been doing kids try camps. He's been helping out with our adult races just to really try to grow them. So I guess my take on races is that you can't really grow them unless you get involved in the community and in that community of athletes. And so really with our adult races, I started to develop committees to help us really getting some of the more engaged athletes involved to be able to recruit additional athletes that would come out to hopefully sell at our races. So Josh has been helping out with many different things. We started with kids tri camps. This was our 8th summer with those. And 2 years ago, we had the idea of why don't we start a team? We sat on it for just a little bit. And then in the spring of this year, so spring of 2025, we said, this is just as good a time as any, and we're going to have to take a jump and start at some point. And so we said, no matter how many kids we have enroll in our spring session, we're going to do it. So if we have 5, we're going to do it. If we have 50, we're going to figure that out, but we'll do it. So yeah, so triathlon has been part of my role here with JCPRD for the last 10 years. So we produce here at JCPRD 2 adult triathlon events and then a youth event. Like I said, 8 years ago, we added on kids tri camps, and we've really seen a big growth there. So that's kind of where Tri 913 came from. So to kind of stick on Allison's agenda and what she'd kind of laid out for this. So we wanted to provide you guys one with an overview of just the team, but then updates from the triathlon world. So I'm going to let Josh take updates from the triathlon world, but really quickly back to the team. So our team consists of kids that are really 18 and under. So what you would label as a kid, right? We didn't really have the bandwidth this summer to have like our bitty kids that, you know, can't really swim and aren't super confident on the bike. But our goal for 2026 is to be able to incorporate that. I came to Josh at the beginning of the summer and I said, I think we should add this in. And he said, I think you're crazy. Because we didn't really know what to expect. So we kind of have a better handle on things going into 2026. And that's a big group for us, is those little guys. So we're hopeful to add that in. But so our team is kids 18 and under. And this summer we saw everything from 6 to 16, I think was our oldest. And they all train together, which is very different than what you see in typical sports with kids. So I have a son, he's 7 right now, and any other team he plays on with kids that are the same age as him. And that has benefits and drawbacks. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's a huge benefit, I think, to the triathlon world and the triathlon community. So in a nutshell, that's kind of our team. Josh, do you have anything else you want to add on about our team? I'm sure I missed a lot.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. And one of the things I think that whenever we got together that what was really important to us and that we emphasized is the community aspect. So like Katie was talking about, the community aspect of triathlon is really important. And so things that we do to foster community are during practices, we'll have kind of a 5-minute kind of theme, if you will. And one of the themes that we had this year that really caught on was that you can do hard things. And the kids just embodied that and grabbed it and decided, hey, this is something that I wanted to do. And I thought that was so cool. Our mission is to empower and inspire kids of all levels to do what they thought they could not do. And I think there's a lot of kids that they couldn't swim, they couldn't bike very well. And they were able to learn how to do that within our program, which I just thought was amazing. So,
yeah. So locally, if you're not super familiar with triathlon, or if you don't even know what a triathlon is, so triathlon is a swim, bike, and run, and you do it all together. So I guess maybe we should start there, because I sometimes assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about. So locally, there are a few kids triathlons. There's more adult triathlons because I guess for some reason people think that kids can't do what adults can do. However, we can disprove that. Kids can do everything. They are pretty freaking awesome. They can actually do probably more than what adults can do. So locally in the area, there are typically 3 races in the summer for kids. So the Jewish Community Center has a race. The Tri-KC Triathlon Club of Kansas City hosts a race in North Kansas City at the YMCA. I think that's potentially moving in 2026, but and then there's our race, which is at Kill Creek Park in August. So our goal with this team was to start in the spring. Those kids in the spring and in the fall, so those kind of off-season times, we have those kiddos going through training for biking and for running. And we don't necessarily swim during that time. A lot of the swim programs are happening during that time. So pool time is very expensive and very limited. So like our times that we could get in to go swim were like 7:30 at night. And it was an insane cost. We were like, look, these kids need to be in bed, by 8 o'clock. So having them swim from 7:30 to 8 was really challenging for us. So we chose to skip that. But then over the summer, we practice 3 days a week and we have these kids swimming in a pool. We dedicated an entire day to swimming in a pool with them, an entire day's practice. We swim in the lake because we want them to get used to the lake. We have an open water swim for our race, which is a lake swim. So we want them just to be comfortable and confident in it. And then we bike and run on our other days. So 3 days of practice for those kids. And our goal with those kids through the summer was, come to those practices, but then we're also going to have these community races that we're going to go to as well. So those 3 races that I mentioned. And it's so different than, like I said, like what your normal, like your soccer or your baseball or something like that is for various reasons. One, like our race got canceled because it rained. So our kids didn't get to like have that final race. So we then went and found something else for them to do. But in all the while, we're talking, Josh is just saying about you can do hard things, right? Like that's something that we really want to instill in these kids. And when the race got canceled, they were like physically upset about the race, crying and that's an okay reaction to have, right? And we made sure to foster that with them, but we also made sure that they knew prior to that sometimes things can get hard, sometimes things can get canceled, and you have to be able to go with that flow. And so I feel like we really prepared them for that. So outside of just sport and swimming and biking and running, mentally we're preparing these kids for things that will happen on race day, but race day can kind of translate to life as well. Which I think is super cool. So, to go along those lines, like my kiddo had back to school last night, and all the teachers have a little note that they have a little piece of paper, you can write a note to your kid and you can leave it there for them to come into on the next day. And so I said, the normal things that parents say, right? I was like, I'm so proud of you. You've done so wonderful. I'm super excited that you're excited about school and that you love this. And I said, please always remember to be kind and to be nice. And definitely always remember that you can do hard things. And I put like try 913 inside parentheses there because he relates that to that team and he knows that he can do that. So that was really special for me to be able to write that, but for him to be able to take something that we've taught him through team and take that into his life in other areas. So sorry, working back around to this. So Josh, we talked about insights into our event and program operations. So Josh, do you want to cover a little bit about, or a little bit more, I guess, about how we tried to tie in those teachable moments and those like, not our mission, but our values inside of practice?
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually do have values that we came up with that we have posted on the wall right outside Katie's office, because sometimes we'll meet at the Mill Creek Activity Center, and those kids can see those whenever they want. So the values and the mission and just our idea for what these kids can take away from us is pretty high. But yeah, so like I was saying, I think that one of the best ways that we do this is the practice is kind of split up into four different components. So we have usually like a warm up, and it has to do with like mobility, active type stuff, and then we have kind of our little values / word of the day, concept of the day, and then we do the program, and then we get back together and reinforce whatever that idea was for the day and try to implement that or try to bring that into life of what they were doing during that session. So it's kind of a really cool opportunity, I think, to help them figure out, yes, what they do inside the day-to-day, and then how they can take that into life. One of the coolest things I thought that happened was at the very end we had a party, and the kids got to do a duathlon which is a bike run. So there's all kinds of different multi-sport events out there. And the run bike run was something that they could do because their triathlon got canceled. And we did that when we had a barbecue. And at the very end, Katie really hit a home run talking about how the kids are able to do this in a way that they can take it into skills of their life. So like when school gets hard, when life gets hard, and I like to talk about that too, when life really gets hard, you can take all the things that you've learned inside this triathlon and apply them to everyday life, because that's actually kind of what helped me, and it continues to help me. Like, I've struggled all my life with different aspects of depression and mental health issues, and to me, like, out how to build self-efficacy, how to figure out self-confidence, and how to push myself beyond what I thought was possible has completely and dynamically changed my life. And that's what I want for these kids. And like, we try really hard to make sure that that is a big message that they get.
And I think, you know, a lot of teams, I relate a lot of stuff back to my 7-year-old because that's kind of what I know versus, you know, like 30 years ago when I was on like little teams. A lot of teams focus a lot on winning, right? Like, we have to go out there, we have to win this game. Like, when you ask a kid, how'd your baseball game go last night? They're like, oh, we lost. Like, that's their takeaway from it. And that's not high on our priority list of our team. Winning is great, right? Like, getting on a podium is so cool, and we can take super cool pictures and we can be really proud about that. We want them to be really proud about that. But like, my biggest takeaway from this entire summer was our race got canceled. Our team came together. We have this big group chat, and they said, hey, there's a race in Iowa. Does anybody want to go? And we were like, well, yeah, like, let's figure out a way to do it. And we had 11 kids go up to Iowa out of our 28, which is amazing. It was a 3-hour drive to go to this race.
Last minute, yeah.
Yeah, very last minute. Nobody knew we were going to do it. We had to book hotel rooms. We had to get a whole families off, and it was like the second day of school. So it was a big deal to get all these kids to go to this race. And as a coach, right, I was the coach that was there. Josh, unfortunately, you know, booked vacation because we were supposed to be on vacation that week because we were done, right? So I'm there. My son's in the last group because he's the youngest. Those kids, they go, and I see him coming through the water, and I'm like, oh man, he is crushing this. Like, he's doing so awesome. The last 2 years at our race, last year he cried and he wouldn't get in. The year before, he got pulled out of the water because he was terrified. And so from a coach's perspective, I was like, holy shit, he can do this. This is awesome. Like, I didn't say that to him, but you know, like, I was really excited about it. And like, I watched him through his whole race, and he's kind of taking his time because that's my kid. That's just what he likes to do. He likes to like spend his time in transition, which is fine. He's not out there to win it. But at the end of the race, I was like, well, buddy, what was your favorite part? And he was like, the run. Like, in my mind, I'm like, you didn't even run it. Like, you walked a lot of it. But he was like, my whole team did it with me. Like, his whole team had already finished, and they came back and they found him on the course, and they ran in with him, and they were cheering him on, and they were saying, you're doing great. And it was kids that were 16 years old all the way down to right next to him at 7 years old. And so that was like a big moment for me, of a kind of an aha moment of what we taught these kids all season. They learned. They listened, and they learned, and they took care of their own, and they understood that this is a community that they have to foster too, and they understood how to foster it. You know, they just did such a really good job. It was so cute. And I don't say that to, hopefully you guys aren't thinking like, oh my God, she's a terrible coach because she was like, you weren't running, man. But you know, like, we all kind of think that way, right? Like, we've been trained to think that way, and it takes a lot to break it. But I think triathlon really does that. And it's instilling in these kids from the beginning that, one, they can do hard things, and two, they need to support the people that are around them. They're not making fun of those kids. Throughout the entire summer, you know, we had a couple kids that would maybe not behave in the way that we would love them to in practice. We were able to tackle those issues. We were able to have those conversations, and we can have those sidebar conversations with the kids, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, to let them know that, you know, if we can tweak this and change this a little bit, you're going to get better. Your team's going to get better. You're going to feel better. Like, we can have those different conversations. So, you know, there's a section in this that we're supposed to talk about progress and lessons learned from launching this program. We didn't really know what we wanted to do in the beginning. I guess we had a goal, right? Like, we knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't know how to do it. So Josh and I asked many people many questions, and there were some people that were flat out like, you can't take our program and take it to where you're at because you're different. We said, okay, great. So you're not going to be a whole lot of help to us. Like, we just wanted to know, like, how do you practice? What do you do? Like, how does this work for you? And so literally, we've had to kind of figure out as we've gone. You know, Josh has a lot of experience coaching, and so he was able to kind of lay that groundwork. And my job has me, you wouldn't know it by looking at my desk, but be very organized. It's you wouldn't like my, and it's clean right now, so it still looks like it's a mess. But you know, we brought our skills to the table and really tried to figure out what we're doing. Do we have it nailed down? No. I think we're continuing to change and to adapt to what we're given, but that's kind of the nice thing about this sport is that parents are so willing to back you up and to support you through that, that it's just been really wonderful. I think, you know, the lessons learned just we continue to learn lessons in everything that we do. Like I wrote down my biggest lesson is that when you put 15, 20 kids on bikes, they get away from you real fast. There might be one that you can't find at the end, and then you have like, oh my God moment where we have to find this kid. That happened. So
We found
yeah,
it was
we
all
found him.
good.
He's fine. But we have different plans in place, right? Like we had to adapt and adjust, and so I think we're going to continue to be able to do that. And you know, like Shia, you work on limited staff too, right? Like that's how we work. We try to do as little staff as we can and produce the biggest results that we possibly can. And that was a big challenge for us. Like Josh and I came into the summer like, it's me and you, man. We might have one other person, but when you have kids from 6 to 16 or 7 to 16, those abilities vary greatly. They can get off track real quick. So every day is a learning experience for us. We kind of have to see who's at practice. How are we going to tailor what we wanted to do toward these kids that are here, and how are we going to keep them safe? That was a lot of information. I'm sorry. There's a lot happening. Josh,
Is this helpful so far for you guys? Like, is this like something that you guys like are enjoying hearing?
I love hearing. I know about the program, but I love hearing about it. I think every time you guys talk, I always learn more. But Katie, I know you and I talked about this previously. So, can you touch base as to why there was a push to begin a youth triathlon team?
so USA, well, overall triathlon, women's triathlon is now a collegiate sport. And there's lots of men's clubs at lots of different universities. So these kids can go to school for this, which is super freaking cool. And it's hard, right? Like it's 3 sports all together. So USA Triathlon has a big push for high school teams. They're giving lots of grant dollars away. They're doing lots around it. And they're really seeing that, you know, like cross country teams and swim teams really make, like those kids make really great triathletes. So there was a big push behind that. So from our perspective, you know, we kind of looked at it and said, well, in order to get high school athletes, like you need to get them when they're kids. So that's kind of where our push behind it came from. But, you know, I said that we've been doing camps for many years. So camps were born out of our triathlon race. You know, we saw our race grow. When I took it over, we had 90 kids. And for the last few years, we've had like 300. So when we saw that big growth in the sport, we said, well, we can, Shia, you're in Park and Rec. We're like, we have this really big group. How can we do more with that really big group? You know, how can we cater to them a little bit more? Because we know they come to us. So we said, why don't we do camps? And then they consistently come to camps. So why don't we do a team? And they're consistently coming to a team. But I can tell you the super cool thing I think about our team is that 65-70% of our kids that were on our team in the summer had never done a triathlon before. They had never even touched anything in it. A lot of the kids that were doing our triathlon are so involved in other sports they can't make team work, which kind of sucks for us. But it's also kind of cool that those kids are willing to come out and try something new. Allie, is that kind of what you were looking for?
Yes, yeah. So as you guys know, the world of sports is always growing and changing. So with the big push for high school teams, just like what Katie said, we got to get those kids started in the rec league. That's where a lot of those kids start. Hey, I started in Parks and Rec, Little League Soccer. Hey, I started in this. So that's kind of the whole reason why Katie and Josh built this up. And it was trending. And it's what the community wants. So if you see other Park and Rec agencies, there's a lot of other agencies in the area and just in the state and across the nation. They're doing more youth triathlons because they see, okay, but not many other places have a youth tri team. Very few do. Some people are being proactive about that, but that's one thing that we're kind of hoping we see more park and rec agencies do. You have your soccer little league. Maybe you add in a triathlon little league, but some of these other park and recs, when they host their triathlons, a lot of them don't use a lake. A lot of them are using a pool. So Katie, for some of the other, like I know Manhattan Parks and Rec, they utilize their pool, and it's not a full, like the distances, but what have you seen at other agencies that have done youth triathlons?
I think you use what you can get, right?
Yeah.
Like, so USA, Shia, I feel like I'm like pinpointing you because you're the park and rec girl on the call, but you know, like
It's
you
it's
use,
fine.
but you use what you have, right? Like
Right.
we have a pool, cool. JCPRD has a pool. It's insanely expensive for us to use. Like we have to pay for it. It's a lot. But
Yeah.
we understood the value of it through the summer, and we were going to have the most kids rather than use it when we had 10. So we were going to use it when we had the most and when we knew we were going to get the most out of it. But you use what you have. So like when we do our training for the fall, we're in parks. We meet at the same park Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we'll run from there. We'll bike from there. We'll work on all the different skills that they need, except for swimming. But you can do some dry land stuff for swimming. But you know, for races, again, it's use what you have. So Manhattan uses their pool. Their pool is in a super nice, like huge park in the middle of town that they can also bike and they can run around, which is super cool. We just have the ability to be able to use Kill Creek Park, which is perfect to shut it down. We get those kids on some hills on the bike. It's a really family friendly course. It's a spectator friendly course. I would love to use Shawnee Mission Park because it's in the middle of the city, but it's awful. It's a great park, but nobody wants to ride a bike in that park, and especially not little kids. It's going to be super hard for them. If we had a pool that we could do it, and I would love that. But so USAT has money out there. They have money for like different grants and things. So we applied for last year and we're given a grant by USAT, and it was just on a whim. Like I wrote it from home on my phone because it was like due that day, and I was like, we need this. This would be great. And it was to fund kids that couldn't afford to be able to be on the team. And what we discovered with that was there's more than that. If they can't be on the team because they can't afford the registration fees, do they have a bike? Do they know how to swim? You know, it was almost like peeling back the layers of an onion, right? We were like, okay, well, here's one, but then there's another, and then there's another. And so it was coming up with, we've come up with many ideas that we would like to do. It's hard to do it though. But USAT does have funds out there for if you wanted to start a try, if you wanted to start a try team, if you wanted to do something like that, to be able to get more kids involved in the sport that maybe weren't potentially able to do it before. They also have like a series where you can do a splash and dash where the kids don't have to bike. So then you don't have to close a road. So if they just do a swim and then they do a run, and they'll put money behind like promoting the series within the city, which is super cool. So there's a lot out there for that to be able to help get things started. And Shia, if you guys wanted to do something, I would love to get something else started. Like we live in such a big area here in Kansas City that it blows my mind that there's only a couple races for the kids to be able to do. Whereas when I said we went to Iowa, the group that produces those races in Iowa, they produce 5 races inside Des Moines through the summer. And they're great races. They're really cool. They're not a park and rec agency, but they work with a park and rec agency to be able to produce that race for them. So yeah, there's lots of groups out there, but I would be happy to help.
How long were your practices and what time of day?
Yeah, so they're about an hour long, and we did them. Some of them were an hour and a half, and we did them like late afternoon in the summer. And then in the spring and fall, we'll do them a little bit earlier. I mean, a little bit later in the afternoon.
So Joe, we did like when we swam, when we swim, we are bound by what the pool can do as well. And we were really worried about that. So our practice was initially going to be 4 to 6, and our plan was to split the kids and have the younger kids in that first hour, and then the older kids in the second hour. And you know, like plans are great until they're not, because families wanted to come together, which makes sense because like if you have to be there at 4 o'clock, you're missing a little bit of work. You need to get all your kids there together. So we just decided we did 4 to 5, and then from 5 to 5:30 we would go run. So we'd swim for an hour ish. By the time you get in there, it's like about 40 minutes. And then we would go run after that practice. And then our Wednesday, Thursday practice was 4:30 to 5:30. And to be honest, I was a little bit worried about that, Josh. I feel like you and I were kind of in the same boat of like, this is kind of cutting into the workday a little bit for parents. And some parents had expressed that that might be a challenge. You know what? They figured it out.
Yeah, they made it work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, just knowing the demographics and of Casey Mo, what time you guys were doing it. For us, it
Well-
could be a little different.
And Jill, we looked into, I'm telling you, like when we started this, we were like, the sky's the limit. Like, what can we not do? Like, we're going to try everything. So we looked into working with a boys and girls club out of Olathe and like taking Stride to them. And we would like, for one day, we would be there with their kids, like teaching them how to do it. And again, when I said earlier, like, it's the two of us, it's the two of us. So it's kind of hard to like do everything, but that would be kind of like a pie in the sky goal for us, is like, how do we take this to kids that can't get there? Because that was when I said we started to peel back the layers of the onion. Like, one, they can't afford the fees. Two, they don't have a bike. Three, they don't know how to swim. Four was a huge one. They can't get there. So that's when we came up with the idea of, well, how do we take it to them? How can we make ourselves mobile? Because the Boys and Girls Club in Olathe, they have a pool. We could potentially bring some bikes, or, you know, like if they have bikes, bring them. And then running is running, right? Like, do we need to get them shoes? But running is running. So I don't think any idea is too crazy, unless it's, you know, just the two of you.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
awesome.
Jill, I would assume that that would maybe apply toward, you know, like Casey Mo a little bit too, right? Like potentially, we chatted with a woman. I'm not going to get the name because I couldn't remember it in the first place, Josh, but the lady that was doing swim lessons. Do you remember that conversation?
The lady that was doing swim lessons.
So
It's
she had like grant dollars for to be able to provide kids swim lessons that couldn't afford it. And so she was the one that was connecting us with the Boys and Girls Club and trying to kind of
Yeah.
get those things started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that,
From the YMCA, or was she from
No.
the YMCA? Oh, okay.
she worked with a swim team, and she had started a fund. I'll find her name and I can share it with Allison and she can send it out to the group. But the YMCAs are really great to work with as well. Like the YMCA, you know, they have different swim lesson programs, and that would potentially be, you know, a way into, if it's that one day a week where we're taking Tri to them. I think that would be amazing.
Well, I'm thinking for our community centers, because during the summer, they have quote daycare. It's not daycare, but
Like summer
camps.
camp.
Summer
Yes.
program or camp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if we could bring, and I mean, we have some pools. We've just redone some pools. So we have some opportunity there that I think would be a nice start. And then potentially working with our adventure clubs and things like that at the schools during the summer. If nothing else, do like a pilot where you're there for, you know, a month teaching them. And then if by the end of the summer, you might have a group that actually is interested. And then you could start a team or something like that.
Yeah.
With those kids from all over
Yeah.
the
And I-
different school
Make it a
districts.
camp idea first, and then try to And if you guys needed help with programming, just let us know. We're happy to try to coach you through that.
Okay,
And I think
thank you.
I feel like when a lot of people hear triathlon, like I had emailed a woman the other day and said, you know, we started this triathlon team. So our fall triathlon team, there's not a triathlon or an indoor triathlon that coincides with the end of our fall season. So we're all going to do a 5K together. And so I had emailed that group and just said, is there a way for us to register? You know, is there by chance a discount? If there's not, it's fine. But, you know, if there is, we want to take advantage of it. But, you know, she said, first of all, kids doing triathlon, that's amazing. Like they're doing things that like adults can't even do. And I'm like, you're right. But I feel like that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people. And what I would really like to come to mind is that we're really teaching these kids skills that they're taking outside of triathlon, right? Like triathlon is great, but the skills that they're getting from it is even bigger. You know, I can't say it enough. Like if you guys could meet my kid and you could ask him like, what was your favorite part of that triathlon? And he was like, the kids all at the end running me in. It was great. He just feels the love and support from those kids. And I think he kind of gets that from soccer and from baseball, but he doesn't know all those kids as well as what he knows these kids. He knows a 16-year-old on our team better than he knows another 7-year-old on his baseball team because he looks up to them. You know, he sees that and it goes both directions for all of those kids. So I don't know how we articulate that on like a little postcard and mail that out to people, but that's what I want them to take away. So Jill, we're happy to do, you know, whatever we can. When with the Boys and Girls Club thing last year, and Josh was like, Katie, you need to calm down. And then I said, what about, why don't we do Camp Win? And he was like, you really need to calm down. Because I had like signed us up for, I was like, we'll come out and we'll do Camp Win. And they were like, we don't have pools. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. And he's like, oh gosh. But you know, like we can kind of make anything work, right? Like multi-sport is multi-sport. You know, they can run and bike and run and, you know, they can swim and run and do all kinds of different things. And a lot of these things they're already doing them. And they're already the fun things that they're doing. So it's putting all those fun things together for them. We just applied for another grant from USA Triathlon for next year to hopefully get more kids involved. And I don't know how much you guys know about Johns County Park and Rec, and I feel like this is sometimes when people look at Park and Rec from the outside, they're like, you guys are publicly funded. You know, you get tax dollars. The recreation side for our business does not. Yes, right, Shaya? So
Yes, I can
Yeah.
attest to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're all fee funded. So everything we do. So when I say, you know, like, yeah, we live in Johnson County, but like if we can get a little discount, that would be wonderful. Like we don't want to break your bank, but I don't really have a bank to break. Um, so we applied for another grant. Hopefully we'll get that. And two things that we added into that grant, which I think are super cool. One is that we found out last year that there are 3 Olathe middle schools in the Olathe School District that they do triathlon as part of their PE curriculum. Like floored. Like that's so freaking cool. So we went out and we helped at one of those races and it was amazing. So they take a whole day where every PE class does a triathlon. You can do it individually or you can do it as a team, but they all swim in the pool and then they go for their bike around the track. That helps keep them contained. When you bike them around the track. That was pretty smart. And then they run around the school, but it was super cool. It was the entire day. So Josh joined, Allison got to come out, and this was a day before an enormous race. And we were like, no, we're making it happen. So we included that in there as an ask. Would you guys help us support that? Because we're taking our staff out there. We also help provide t-shirts for them. We give them swag. Like we want them to feel part of the community. So there was that, but then there was also, we had several new kids. So like I said, 60 to 70% of our kids had never done the sport before. After our Shawnee Mission Triathlon, which happened in early mid-July of this year, I had a mom reach out and say, hey, my kids all came to this race because their older brothers raced and now they won't stop talking about it. They really, really, really want to race. Well, turns out she has 10 kids. So out of the 2 that raced Shawnee Mission, those guys are in college. 2 were itty bitties, and then she has 6 in the middle. And she's like, these 6 kids really want to do it, but we're a single income family. And they do well, but they can't afford to put 6 kids in the program. So it doesn't necessarily mean for USAT that they just absolutely can't afford it. They can't afford to do all 6, but all 6 of them really wanted to do it. So those 6 kids, we were able to scholarship into the program. So they got to come finish the last 3 weeks of summer with us and they had an amazing time. Like, I can't tell you, you know, I was talking with their 16-year-old girl, Maria, on the way back from a run one night. And I just said, you know, what other sports do you guys do? And she said, we don't really do a whole lot because we're such a big family. We can't afford it. And that broke my heart, but I was like, this is a really great thing for you. 1, because you can come all together. 2, you're doing things that you already do. I mean, she was like, we already knew how to swim because, you know, there's a pool. We bike all the time and we run all the time because it's free. So we already knew how to do these things. So that was just a really cool, you know, positive thing that came out of the summer is that we got to get 6 new kids involved in the sport that had never done it before. And when I tell you those kids can run, like those kids ran with Josh. Like there was a little 7-year-old girl that never quit. Like she ran with him and his
Yes, he could
jog
run.
is my sprint. So
They were such a cool family too, and it was I was so grateful to have them there. And like Katie said, that's a 16-year-old that Luke looks up to. Her daughter or her son. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's cool. It's a cool sport. I would love to work with you guys if you guys have ideas on community centers or, Shia, if you guys want to get a race started, like we can absolutely help. We can connect you guys with USA Triathlon. There is funding out there for it. There's not a ton, I'll tell you that. But at the same time, I mean, I think that parents are really willing to get their kids, especially the young kids, involved in sports because it's this point in their lives when they're 10 and under that they're really starting to figure out what they like. And we already know they like swimming, right? They already go to your pools and they're running at recess and they love to bike because that's their escape from whatever. So we're just putting it all together.
And I think what's really cool too is triathlon is a lifelong sport. So a lot of kids, whenever they play, soccer or baseball or any of those sports, they're going to give them up in high school, and if not high school, definitely college. Whereas most people can continue to do triathlon all through their life, because we'll see 80, 85-year-olds do triathlon. It's crazy. They'll be standing up there on a podium, and you're like, how are you even doing this?
Those are my idols. There's a lady named Dottie that does our tries. She's 80, and I want to be like Dottie when I grow up. She's pretty awesome.
Right? So it's a lifelong sport that we can get them into.
I could talk for hours, but you guys don't have all that time.
Thank
If you
you,
have any
Katie and
thoughts-
Josh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I was just gonna say, do you guys have any thoughts or questions or epiphanies?
I'll just jump in real quick. I definitely can relate to a lot of it as a recreation professional, doing a lot with very little, and then of course overcoming the barriers to, hey, we don't have a pool, but we can do this, we can do that. I'm not sure how much you all know. So we only have one pool and it's only an outdoor pool. So we partner a lot with the schools or the YMCA to provide or to, kind of overcome that barrier. And of course, the funding, it's the recreation gets like a little sliver of the budget when it comes to the programming aspects of things. But I love the philosophy, you can do hard things. It resonates with a lot of what we teach our kids. And I 100% agree. Summer camps is the time to teach and bring and introduce new things. It's similar. We did the performing arts for this summer. Kids were like, no, no, no. Those kids are asking us to put it at more locations. They want to bring their friends. They want to do those types of things. So sometimes it's just finding that time, like you said, in the summer, kids need things to do and being able to introduce it. So I think it sounds like it was a really amazing program.
Thank you, Shia. And we would love to get stuff started in your area. So I'll get your contact information from Alice.
Okay.
Yep. Katie, can I have you use the chat box and type your email address in there? I know. I mean, I could literally copy and paste it, but yeah. Anyways, perfect. Josh, Katie, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about the Try 913 team and your journey with that. It's exciting to see the sport of triathlons grow, and they're continuing to grow. And I know the world of biking is also growing. So there's a lot of changes happening, not just in the metro, but statewide and nationwide as well, as more things come about, which is huge. But as Park and Rec professionals, we do want to be prepared and offer those resources. And we're supposed to be the subject matter experts. So this is us sharing all of our subject matter expert knowledge. So if you guys have any suggestions on other topics you want to see at some of the other Park and Rec meetings, please don't hesitate to reach out and reach out to me directly, or just not to this Katie, not the blue Katie, but the other Katie, the one with all the plants, not all the stickers and pictures. So Plant Katie, we'll call her that, Plant Katie. So please share those ideas. We'd love to hear it. You now have both Katie's email addresses in the chat, so don't be shy. Reach out. Other things on our agenda. Flip back up. So group updates. I know that we had the Win for KC group apply for funding recently. Plant Katie, are you able to share any updates on that? I believe they did get approved for that funding, correct?
Yes, so actually it's for their mobile camp win. So bringing it to the community. Yeah, so Katie, when you mentioned that, I was like,
Yep.
we're helping fund that. So we're helping them to expand. I have not heard any updates yet and probably won't until probably the fall, but I'll make sure to bring that to the group when we learn a bit more about how it's going. But that is exciting that will occur.
And then other group updates. I know that we still have some funds left. So if you guys have any other no, we don't have any funds left. We're tapped.
No, I meant to bring this up to you earlier, but just so the group does know, as of right now, we do not have any funds. We're working with our accounting department to kind of figure some stuff out.
Cool.
But if anything changes, I'll let y'all know.
Cool. All right. Well, speaking of funds, I did share the link to the grants program that USAT has. So feel free to use that. And I know there are a lot of other smaller grant programs available as well. I know Plant Katie, sorry, I've not confused my Blue Katie. She's got a whole book or flyer on just links to websites and links to different grant programs. And so that might be another topic that we cover later. It's just talking about some of the grants that are out there to help fund some of these programmings or community initiatives that we're wanting to do. I know NRPA also has a great grant program as well. Otherwise, I don't have any other group updates for the Park and Rec sector. I appreciate you guys helping on today. We do have our Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative quarterly meeting coming up on September 11th. That's going to be a really cool one. This is the program that the Kansas City Royals does. It is the Shut Out the Stigma with Blue KC. So it's a partnership with the Kansas City Royals and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Blue KC, the health insurance group. So we've got Kristen Gurnon, the program manager with Blue KC Behavioral, and then Tony Snethen. Sorry, Tony. The senior VP and chief marketing officer for the KC Royals. So Katie did put a registration link for that in the chat. If you can't go to this, I know that they have is it a hybrid version? Is that correct, Plant Katie? Cool.
Yep.
They have a hybrid version for that as well, too. I know I'm giving another presentation elsewhere that morning. Otherwise, I was going to go to that. So I'm going to try and log on at the end and see if I can catch the last of it. But other cool fun fact, those are recorded as well. So if you do go on and register, you can't go in person. That's okay. There's an option to say that you would like to attend hybridly. If you don't show up hybridly, that's okay because you can get the recording later. And we do not have a date for our next meeting. So we do have a new co-sector lead, Tatum Bartle. So we're working with her on her regular availability to make sure we can keep this gravy train rolling and keep all the fun things happening. So, Plant Katie, did I miss anything?
No, I just wanted to say that the quarterly meetings are free, just so you know. So if you know of anybody you work with, coworkers or whatnot who might be interested in this topic as well, go ahead and feel free to share that link. And yeah, and breakfast is served and that is free too. So.
And it's catered. It's not just somebody grilling breakfast burritos in the corner. So it's made in an actual kitchen. It's really good food. I love going to their breakfasts. I'm very sad that I'll be missing it.
Next year, Allison.
Next year. And just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with someone making burritos in the corner on the grill. That's totally normal. We do that at our office quite a bit. And it's perfectly normal. So. All right. Anything else? Okay, I could talk for days just like my Blue Katie, but I won't do that to you guys. So, the next meeting will be sent out via email. I know Plant Katie will be sending a invite. We would love to have you guys there, and if not, please still register so you can at least get the recording for later. Guys, have a wonderful Wednesday. And stay hydrated and enjoy the awesome weather we're having out there. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye,
guys.
guys. Thanks, Josh.